Hello, Ahlan wa sahlan, welcome back. Well, you've made it to your second lesson. I hope the first went well. Just briefly to review, in our first lesson, we covered the letter aleph, which is the vowel sound a, and we covered the connecting letter noon, which made the N sound. Remember noon? 1, 2. There are my three noons, an initial, a middle, and a final. Okay? Hopefully those look very similar to you from the previous lesson. All right, for today's lesson, we have three connecting letters. But don't worry, they share the same shape. They're only different in the number of dots on them, and they all represent three very familiar sounds to you that you use in English. And these are three consonants. So let's start right off with the writing of these, because it's going to be the first shape that we use, and we use this for several letters. These three letters are ba, ta, and tha. And you can probably guess from the names, they're the consonants. Ba equals B, as in bed, bet, beginning. Ta is a T sound, as in two, twice, tickle. And tha is the TH sound, as in math, bath, think. And if you notice, if you look when I say that, my tongue is between my teeth. Bath, math, think. Notice that. So it's not a the sound, but a th. It's kind of breathy. Okay? But we'll talk more about that later. Now the great thing is these three letters all share the same basic shape, and it's a shape you've already learned. They're going to look to you very similar to the noon that we learned in the previous lesson. So let's look at our lines again. And remember, we've got our little dotted line in the middle. These are for letters that don't go all the way up. And this dotted line is about 1/3 of the way up, not quite half. Okay, so our first shape, let's start with the letter ba. It's going to begin just like noon did. We're going to have a spike like this. But if you remember, with noon, we put the dot up top. With ba, we put the dot on the bottom. And you notice that dot is under the line. So even though we have these lines, we're going to have stuff going above and below the lines. Otherwise, it functions just like noon did. So if I want to connect one in the middle of a word, same way. I make one spike, and I put a dot. Okay, again, all right, it's working just like noon, basically. Okay, notice that dot is centered. All right, so far, so good. What happens at the end of a word? Okay, well, if you notice, I can't leave this hanging out here. It's going to look similar to noon, but slightly different. And this is important because all three of these letters will share the same ending shape. So if you remember, noon had sort of this curve shape, this hook. Ba, ta, and tha, all three of them are going to be similar, but they're not going to go under the line and make that circular shape. So if I come to the end of a word and it ends in a ba, I do it like that. Notice what I've done. It looks like the same letter, right? But I add this second spike on the end, and that makes like a little bowl, and the dot is centered in the middle. Okay, so that's just one thing to remember as you're going through the letters. When you get to the end one, if this is at the end, you have an extra spike, but it's because you have to finish it off. Make it sound like you want to finish off that thought. So let's look at some examples. Okay, as you see, we have three words here, and there are a number of letters that we haven't seen yet, so you won't recognize them. Don't worry about what you haven't seen, but just looking at these, can you recognize where is the ba? We got our first word. Well, it's right here. We've got our one spike and our one dot on the bottom. And hopefully you recognize this second letter is a noon. It's also got a spike, but the dot's on top. Okay, how about this middle one? Right, a lot of spikes going on there. But we're able to recognize that spike with a dot is a ba, a B sound. And so there it is. Don't worry about these two. You're going to learn them very soon. Okay, but we have a B in the middle. This one, you can do this entire word, in fact. So we have a ba at the beginning. This, of course, you recognize is an aleph. And then a final ba. Notice how it has that extra spike to finish it off in the dot. Please remember these shapes because these are the exact same shapes we're going to use for the next two letters. And you'll essentially have 4 letters that use these shapes. Now this word, already you can sound this out. Notice I have a b, a, b. Put it together, this is the word bab. Bab. Bab means door. So right there you have a word. And this is a favorite one because it uses letters that you already know. Okay, so here we have a set of spikes. Obviously these are not complete. You know if I put my dot on the bottom, these will become bas. But what if I don't do that? In this case, we're going to put 2 dots on top. Now we already know 1 dot on top would make this a noon. We're going to put 2. Okay, like that. Notice everything else looks pretty much the same. Okay, with 2 dots on top, we get the sound ta, just like T in English. Think of tea, time, tickle. Okay, so otherwise it works just the same, except we have our 2 dots on top. So let's look at some examples. All right, here we have 3 words. Hopefully in looking at them, you can see there's a ta in each one of these words. And again, we're looking for the 2 dots on the top. So the ta in this word, of course, it's at the beginning, right here. And again, you know all these letters. We have a ta, an aleph, and a ba. Put these together, this is the word tab. This would be pronounced tab. Okay, no problem. How about this next word? Well, very similar, but it's reversed. In this case, our 2 dots on top is in the final letter. And notice how it takes that second spike because it's at the end. Okay. Here, we recognize a ba, a, and a t. Bat. This would be the word bat. Okay. Tab, bat. Okay. And the only difference are these dots. Here's a word that has some letters we have not learned yet, but it should jump right out to you that we have a ta in the middle. Now notice you say, oh, we have 2 dots here. Yes, but this shape is not a spike. So we're going to see these dots used a lot throughout Arabic. So it's remember that there's the basic shape plus the dots on the top or the bottom are important to every letter. Okay, let's move on to our 3rd letter. Okay, here we are again, just like before, a set of spikes. By now you know what dots we put on these spikes will change the letters. Remember again, if I put a dot on the bottom, we have ba. Put a dot on top from last lesson, we have noon. We just learned if we put 2 dots on top, we have ta. Well, in this case, we're going to put 3 dots on top. Now, this is a bit tricky, but whenever we have 3 dots on top, and there are some letters, more than one, in Arabic that do have the 3 dots, makes like a little pyramid, like that. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Don't worry, we never go beyond 3 dots for any letter. So this is the most that you'll ever see. Okay, now, it works exactly the same. All the other mechanics are the same for this letter, except the 3 dots on top gives us the th sound, as in math, bath. And the way to check yourself is you can look at yourself in a mirror and see where your tongue is. Right? It's between your teeth. Math, bath, think, thick. Okay? This is tha. In English, it's th, 2 letters, but it's 1 sound. In Arabic, it's 1 letter. Okay? So let's look at some examples of this. All right, here we are. So by now, a lot of these letters should begin to look familiar to us. And you're seeing the importance of counting the dots here. Well, tha is pretty easy because it's got that nice little triangle shape, so it's easy to recognize. So obviously the Thaa in this word is at the beginning. But you know the rest of these letters. Thaa, Aleph, Ba, Ta. Put them together. Thabat. Thabat. Okay. Similarly, we know both these letters. We have a spike, but it's got a dot on the bottom, so that's Ba. And here's our Thaa. This is Bith. Now notice, because it's at the end, it gets that second spike. When they're at the end, we get that extra spike. And that's just a thing to remember. When you're writing, you tend to make a lot of spikes. You kind of count them, and you put that last one in. And here, our eyes go to the three dots, and we see that the Thaa is in the middle. Now, at this point, it may seem a little confusing how to keep these different letters straight. I mean, basically, it's a matter of counting dots. So we'll show you a little trick that will help you. So just take a look at this. Okay, so as you know, we just did three letters, and the only difference between them was the number of dots. Now, there's an easy way to remember these. Remember, our first letter was Ba. Okay. And it makes the sound of B. Notice we have one dot. Where is it? It's on the bottom. Dot on the bottom is Ba, is B. B, B, B. Okay? It's easy to remember. Now, our next letter, which was Ta, made a T sound. And remember, Ta has two dots on top. Two on top is Ta, is T. B on the bottom, Ta, two on top. And our last letter, so of course, was Thaa. It made the th sound, and it has how many dots? 3. So, dot on the bottom is Ba, is B. 2 on top is Ta, is T. 3 dots is Thaa, makes the th sound. So this is an easy mnemonic to remember. Now, it wasn't made intentionally this way. It just happens to correspond to English. But anything that can help you, you should use it. But of course, the most important thing is practice. As you see these letters a lot and use them over and over again, which you're going to do, you will automatically begin to recognize them. So don't worry if it's a bit confusing right now. The more you practice with these, the more familiar you will get with these three letters. You now have enough to go ahead and do the exercises that we have for you, and we'll see you back for our remaining letters. Good luck. Shukran jazilan.